Hello friends, welcome to my channel. I am Noelle and this week we are going to make a hobo bag and then we are going to dye it. So I have this bag that I got at the Guggenheim, which was heckin' expensive, but it is super cute. It's a Goya, you can see right there. It's a Goya print that they put cats in, which I thought this was super cute. So I was very excited when my husband decided to buy me this, but I also don't want to ruin it sometimes, and I would love to have another one that I can put, like, you know, snacks and drinks and stuff in and not feel like, ooh, maybe something might go wrong. Cue me looking for a pattern to make this bag so that I can make one for myself that isn't quite as expensive. So I found this girl online. Her name is Michelle Kwan, and she is super cute. She has an Instagram and a YouTube and a website, all of which will be linked down below for you. And she specializes in just showing you how to make these things. She makes tons of cute little bags, little pouches, little containers for your glasses, all kinds of stuff. So do go check her out. So essentially I'm gonna follow her instructions and then make my bag, although I'm gonna make a few alterations to mine, and then I'm gonna take it outside. And I went over to my friend Erica's house the other day and I learned how to dye things, so I'm very excited. I bought a whole bunch of new RIT dye that I'm gonna try. I would like to use fiber reactive dyes in the future, but I thought that while I'm getting used to learning how to dye, I should do it with the stuff that's like very, very portable. So I'm gonna give RIT dye a chance and we're gonna do a little bit of an ombre, I think. I bought some cool stuff. So let's look at project materials. All right, I have two materials here and they're just from my stash. This is a linen, which I'm gonna use for the outside of this bag. I've already given them a wash, as you can see. This is all wrinkly, so I need to give it a nice press, but I did think they're both kind of like off-white, like a little yellowy, beigey color, so I thought that they would go well together and dye similarly. You do, when you dye, want to consider like the base color that it already has. So since these are both not like optic white, they're gonna dye slightly off from what you would expect because they have like a slight yellow tinge to them. Luckily, they're similar enough that I think that they will dye similarly to each other. I got this thread, which is Coates & Clark's quilting and piecing thread. It is a cotton wrapped polyester. They recommended you have polyester thread for this project. However, it won't take dye in the same way that linen and cotton will, so I got cotton wrapped polyester because this should take the dye similarly to these two fabrics. Also, you need some magnetic closures for this guy, so I picked those up, but essentially that's it. That's all you need, which is fantastic. Oops, I missed out. We also need a very small piece of medium weight fusible interfacing. Many of you guys might be like, hey Noelle, weren't you in the middle of sewing a 18th century gown? So let's have some real talk for a minute about losing your sojo, which I have done for the past entire month. It's been 4 weeks of me essentially not wanting to touch any sewing whatsoever. I had to step back with her. Something happened which was totally fixable, but I lost like literally only 1 day's worth of work. It wasn't even that big of a deal. However, like something happened inside me and I lost my sojo. It's been kind of awful. Every time I think about it, I come in here and I like futz around for a minute and I just really don't want to do it, especially hand sewing. So after this long of not sewing anything, I decided that I should probably just work on a different project to try to like get my sojo back up, do something smaller, not all hand sewing, stuff like that, so that I could get my sojo back, which is typically how I make that happen. I let myself rest for a few weeks and just didn't force myself to do it. But you know, I like making videos, I like coming here and talking to you guys, I like doing stuff, so why should I force myself to keep working on this when I can work on something that I'm actually excited about and come back to this? Like, I don't need this to happen until late October. It's not going to take that long for me to get back to this. A second thing is, since this is all hand sewing, this is a lot of monotonous work that is kind of unfilmable, so part of me needs to just kind of like do this at my leisure, film it as I go, and just put out a second video where I show the whole thing, but not force myself to have to do it within a week. So that is why you're not seeing the second part of this video happening right now, but you will, I promise. Okay, let's iron all this stuff out. Okay, I've made a tote task list, which seems excessive, but honestly, these are all just like little steps. Like, none of this is huge. So, iron fabrics is done. Now we're gonna go cut our fabrics. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do some measurements on my interior bag, and I'm using a Frixion pen to mark the measurements. I am going to go a little bit off book from her measurements. Her measurements are definitely in her blog article about this one and also in her video about this one, so I would definitely recommend you look at those. She has 2 different bags, like one's a big one and one's a slightly smaller one. I'm making an even larger than her big one because I like the size of my bag and I'm trying to make it as similar as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and do her measurement technique here to carve out the like circle thing. But basically I'm going to use similar measurements to hers and get this cut out. Okay, so I followed some of her instructions to get the little corner piece and then to put the measurements down to draw out this curve. I wanted my strap significantly wider than she had, stuff like that. This is the pocket piece that gets cut out of the middle here. So now this is just one piece folded in half, and now I need to fold, like cut that linen into the right total shape, and then make 4 stacks that are like this. So 2 linings and 2 outers, so a total of 4, which are doubled up. So it's actually, you're cutting through 8 layers of fabric and then cut them all together. This curve just goes once together. Okay, next thing to do is to make the pockets. So it's basically just like 1 lining, 1 outside, and you go ahead and sew all the way around, leaving a hole to flip it inside out. It's not that complicated. I have to do it twice, then you flip it inside out, iron it, and then sew across the top twice. So that's what I'm gonna go do. Here are my funky pockets. They both have this like weird like blue corner that happens because fabric stretches weird, and I don't care. No one will notice. Also, they look like they curve in. These supposedly are straight. Okay, next is attaching the pockets. She has them set 3 3/8 inch down, so that's where I set mine. You just fold this in half to find the center. That, luckily, is still the center line, so I just measured it, drew a little plus sign on there, and then laid that there. One of these is an outside and one of these is an inside, and that defines the inside and outside of this piece now. So I have to be careful now, because before they were just like, whatever, there's no printed side on these, so it didn't really matter, but now it does. So then you just go sew along the edge there, edge stitch that onto both of these. Okay, pocket is on, looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and iron this now just to get these marks off, and these marks, even though these will be in the seam allowance, they don't really matter, but. Okay, we're gonna apply the interfacing. These are the interiors. This is the internal pocket, so we know that's like needs to go on the inside. So we're putting this interfacing here on the back sides of these. This is to hold the button on. She has some like 3/8, 5/8 kind of calculations for this. I just made this 2 by 2. It seemed easier. The magnet is going to go at 1 3/8 inch down on the other side, so I made sure that this is, the center of this is roughly there for both of them. I'm just going to iron them right on. Okay, so we have the magnetic closure. Here's like one side and here's the other. And they lock together, and then you could never get them apart again. Okay, so these are the things that sort of like hold them on. So if you have your dot here, you can draw lines here and then just use your seam ripper to open those up so that you can insert this piece in, essentially. Okay, we're gonna sew the bags next, and just like the outside of them. So it's this seam, and this seam on the exterior bag and the interior bag. The interior bag gets a bunch left open at the bottom because this is where it gets pulled through. Okay, so I pressed all the seams open along it. I used that ham for it, and then the opening that you make in the bottom corner, you fold it kind of the other way. Here's this corner. But now, essentially, I pulled this out and the other side out the other way, and these two are meeting right here and right here to make this, and you sew along this edge. So this is a 2x2 square that came out. This thing right here is about 3.5 inches wide. So if you wanted a wider bottom to this, you could make this deeper. Like you could cut it 3x3 or 4x4. I would maybe suggest, because it's going to make the bottom deeper, but it's also going to make the whole bottom shallower. So if you're going to do that, also make your bag longer. All right, so here are the handles of the bag. Here's like the entrance to the bag. And I essentially put the guy in there, this hem, and I'm pressing it open here. And then later, this is the side seam, as you can see, coming up here later. These two will just stay together, forming that line. Now we're going to take the outside fabric and we're going to turn it right side out. And then we're going to slide it inside this bag so they are now right sides together. And then we're going to seal up these edges. Okay, so the sides here are together. I did a little truing up at the top with some scissors. It's fine. So you can sew all the way along one edge of this, but the other edge you need to leave a little extra room because we're going to want this open to sew the tops together later. White blob. Okay, so it's sewn together. So now we're going to go ahead and pull it out through so it goes right sides out, and then we're going to shut this hole up. Shut your hole up! I'm going to do that on the machine. She does it on the machine. I'm happy. Oh, also, sorry about my state of my hands. Pompo, my new kitty, is rampant. Likes to shred her mama. You should see my legs. They're a mess. Okay, we have it flipped right side out. So I have a pocket on the inside. I have a magnetic closure that works. I have a pocket on the outside. Just need to put these guys together. Okay, remember how we left one side of the straps kind of open? Well, that allows you to open them up, and then you put them right side to right side, trying to match up the center seam, and you make sure that, like, in my case, linen is to linen, so you're, the same fabric is to the same fabric. And then you sew along this seam right here. Okay, so this is that seam, and I have folded it open, and I have pressed it so that it's pressed inside there. And then I'm going to go ahead and just like close this up, not actually closing it up, but like fold in the edges and stuff. And then we're just going to sew around these circles that are the armhole. Okay, I've pinned and pressed it, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sew like top stitch around this circle and then flip this over and top stitch around the other circle, and we will be complete with the bag, but ready to dye. And we have a finished bag. It's been edge stitched, it has a pocket, it has a magnetic closure that is possibly stronger than it really needs to be. It has another pocket inside. It looks really good. Immediately I regret about widening this. So she had this at, I think, 1 3/4, which would have made it 1 inch wide, and I made it 2 3/4. But I would made it 2 inches wide because it's 1 inch for each one. I didn't do the math, so it's extra wide now, but that's okay. Next time I won't do that. That's fine. I am ready to dye this now, and I will do that tomorrow. Okay, this is going to be mega experiment time because we're going to film in my backyard. My backyard has a pond in it that has a waterfall, which means it's going to be loud and water sounding. So if you're hearing that when you get out there, I'm apologies for the sound, because I could mic myself, but I'm also dyeing stuff, and I'm thinking I'm probably gonna I don't want to use my mic for that. So I'm not gonna do that. So I did a little extra work, and I made 4 bandanas out of linen for myself. I asked on Instagram if anyone had any ideas about stuff that they also wanted to see. If you guys have suggestions, by the way, please leave them down below for like not huge projects. Like I would like projects that are smaller, because I'm always making all these huge things, and you know, sometimes it's nice to have little stuff. So if you have suggestions, I'm taking them for sure. Anyway, lots of people said they wanted to see bandanas. So I made some bandanas. It's literally a square, guys, that has a hem on it. Not complicated. But I'm gonna dye those too. If anyone wants an in-depth bandana tutorial, send it to me. I will show you how to use a blind hem foot. Like, just let me know in the comments down below and I'll make that. However, for now, they're made, and I'm gonna use them with this dye bath as well. So let's talk about that. Oh, Pompo is here. She's here for love and purrs. Everyone said that they want more Pompo. Here's some Pompo. Okay, no, you can't go on my table. There you go. Okay, Pompo needs to be in the room with me 24/7, guys. Alright, let's talk about what I'm doing. I'm using red dye. It's not complicated. You follow the instructions on the back of the bottle. I have a lot of dye because I went a little nuts, and I didn't know if I was going to mix dyes or what, so that's all going to happen downstairs where I try to figure that out. This is what red dye looks like. I buy the liquid stuff. And when I say I buy, it means I've never done this before. Erica buys this, and she taught me how to dye stuff like 2 weeks ago. So we're gonna try this. You put salt in it. You put one little blop of liquid detergent in it, because that breaks the surface tension and lets things go down. It does make your dye bath a little sudsy. It's okay. So, but basically you can just take these and mix them. I'm going to show you the colors I got. Okay, obviously I got this back to black dye kit because this is the blackest black that they have. It also comes with the color fastening stuff in it, which I needed anyway. So I bought this kit because it's the only way you can get this particular black. And then I bought all these colors that amount to essentially my color scheme. So we're gonna obviously make some fuchsia, pink, burgundy kind of stuff, and some purpley stuff, and we're gonna see how that goes. But we're gonna do a lot of experimentation and see how this goes. Okay, we are in my little known kitchen. I like to use these Home Depot buckets, and again, I like to use is my first statement because they tell you how much water is in here. And you should use about 3 gallons. So cool, now we know where that is. So I'm gonna fill this up with hot water, and up to the 3 gallon mark I'm gonna put a cup of salt in here and put in some color and start seeing how things go. I'll probably adjust the color outside as things go. We'll see what happens. This is all a big let's find out situation. Okay, this has a teaspoon of dish soap in it and a cup of salt, and I'm just gonna start adding dye. I have decided this is my spoon for this situation. Cool. This will be my dye spoon forever. It is no longer food safe, so don't ever use food stuff with your dye. Okay, I'm gonna do a little test strip here. Always get this is a freshwater bucket, just cold water, and I'm gonna get this wet before I go into the water with the dye in it. Okay, now we're gonna do a cold water rinse, and we're gonna use some of this fixative and then set it all out to dry. Okay, I was gonna come on here and show you all of them, but I wanted to iron some of the bandanas first. Do you see how this color down here is wildly different than this color up here? Like, Not wildly, but like definitely different. Like this is a much lighter color than that. Cool. Yeah, so this used to be that color and then I ironed it. So, noted. Ironing lightens it. It changes right in front of your eyes. Wow. Like, you can see the holes from the iron in it. My iron, like this is linen, and it's on somewhere between silk and wool. It's like way lower than it needs to be, and it's still doing this. So that's pretty crazy. Okay, so here they are. Do I think these are works of art? No. Am I happy with them? Yes. Did I learn a lot? Absolutely. So this is more of the scarlet color that I made towards the end, and black, and there's even some just plain in here that got in here. One of the things I learned is this cool like thing happens, which is neat. I didn't expect it. I probably should have like tried to ombre more instead of just like letting them just sit. When you just let them, you saw how I like clipped them on and like just left them in there. It darkens the color. So like that amount of time in there is good, but the like not constant motion and like dunking and like different levels of saturation gives like kind of a hard line like this. Whereas like this guy over here has a much like nicer gradient that like flows from one color to the next pretty nicely because I was dunking it the whole time. Anyway, cool. Learned about mixing colors on the fly. This is the darker purple. It's actually darker than it looks here on camera. So like all of these actually don't look exactly like they do on camera, but whatever. The black is darker for sure. This one is fun. Kind of crazy. This one's probably my favorite. This is probably the one I'll wear the most. Remember that these are going to be on my head in a like triangle, right? So like this is the part that will be on my head, and then this is the outer edge. So all those dark spots that you see that are huge, the black spots are like, really it's only going to be half of that. And then here's the bag. What do I think about this bag? Was this my vision? Yeah. Black to purple to pink was kind of my vision. Did it come out like I expected it to? No. Am I unhappy with it? Also no. So, lessons learned. Okay, so if you want ombre, you gotta dunk more for sure. You can't like set it in there, you just gotta stand there and dunk it. So that's something we learned. Erica did tell me that was gonna happen, and I kind of wanted to see like what that would look like because it does spread to some extent. It just doesn't mix as well. I wanted to try the black, tried it. It's not really as black. Like if you wanted black, I think you'd probably have to do a stovetop method and keep it like real hot and like just submerge it. Or you could do like a tie-dye method where like you have it bunched up or flat even or whatever, but you're applying the dye yourself with like a concentrated way and then it can just sit on it. Like that's kind of a better way for this black, I think. If I had like jeans I wanted to dye black, sure, this would be perfect for that. And I would probably use the stovetop method or like a shirt or something. It doesn't ever get jet black, and that's the thing is like it's gonna go through washes and stuff, so it's gonna be immediately faded. So that's okay, that's how clothes are. The fuchsia I didn't get as fuchsia as I wanted it to be. It's not like as flamingo pink as it looks on camera, but it is definitely like corally-er than I expected it to be. That's fine, whatever. I learned lots of things doing this, so this was totally worthwhile. I will absolutely wear these bandanas. I love that they're made out of linen. I will probably make some more that are just like white, or I think I might try doing blues and greens next time and see what those look like when I try to dye, and like how much do those fade out, that kind of thing. That's the thing about dyeing that's always like kind of put me off about it, is like I like a saturated color, like a very saturated color. So I'm a jewel tones kind of person. So like having stuff look instantly faded is like not that appealing to me. So I have to see if there's other methods that will help me get to that. I'm gonna try both of the stovetop and also like the kind of tie-dye method and see how those both go. Will it carry this bag? Heck yeah. Let's talk about the bag. So the pattern, loved it. I thought it was great. Do you recommend? I know that I have friends who have used her other patterns and they've said that all the patterns like work out great. The instructions are great. I loved the way that her patterns were because if you go on the website, the pattern is written out and there's pictures. And if you go on the video, there's no talking, but you watch her do all of it. So like, you don't really need the instructions because you just go, oh, okay, do that. So it's very clear. The only thing I regret is the changes I made. Like making that strap wider was completely unnecessary. I didn't need to do that. And it's like a little bit too wide now. Like it sticks out from my arm a little bit more than I would prefer. So I wouldn't do that. Will I make this again? Heck yeah. Like part of why I did this experiment was because I was seeing if I could maybe make these tote bags for people for Christmas, like my friends and stuff. I mean, I don't have to dye them. I can just get material that's pretty cool and use that to make these totes for them. So I thought this was really a cool pattern. It's not complicated. It takes, you know, a couple hours to put together tops. I mean, I'm sure fast people here could do this in like an hour, no problem. I'm like, I don't know why, but this took me 6 hours today. It didn't really take me 6 hours. It took me probably like 2 or 3 to make this thing. So do like this pattern. Do go check this person out. All of her patterns look super cool and super easy to make and like maybe intricate. Like there's backpacks and stuff that you can make that are like kind of intricate, but it seems like the way she puts her procedure together that it totally makes sense and it doesn't, you know, none of it's too futzy kind of thing. So do recommend her. Do recommend the bandana idea. Love it. I'm gonna wear these. Like I might put one on right now. All right, got the purple one in. I like it. I like the shape. I like the size. I like the color. It's 10 out of 10. Good job. So things I learned that were like perhaps negative about this. I'm not sure about that pink color, and because it's kind of corally and that's not the pink I was looking for. And I do like purple. I also learned that I like colors that like 8-year-olds put together. Like if it's pink and purple, I'm like, yeah, let's do that. I might try blue and purple at some point. Where have we seen that before? I'm like an ombre girl. Like if you put something ombre, I'm like, I do like that. So I'm going to continue learning how to do this in a more controlled environment. A thing I want to learn how to do is do this inside. Because the entire fiasco of having to take everything out and like change out buckets constantly and whatever, it was just a lot. Like my husband obviously you saw was helping me. We're both exhausted. So like I would prefer, and I did 4 bandanas in a bag. Like Erica is currently doing 30 sweatshirts. I helped her do 4 sweatshirts one day and we were exhausted. I don't know. This is too much for outside. Can we do this inside is the question I have. Like, will my bathroom survive this? I don't know. It's probably my grout that won't survive this, right? Like that's the thing. If anybody's experienced, let me know. I think that's it from me. Got some lessons learned. Did try it. Enjoyed it. Will carry this bag. So I'm feeling like this is a success. I sewed something. That was also a thing I needed to start to do, like to get it my sojo back. I do want to get her done because I don't like her lingering back there, but I also am like, nah, I don't want to do it yet. So we'll see. Anyway, I hope you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Leave me notes down below. Let me know what you're working on, what you're watching, what you're listening to, what you're reading. I'm re-listening to podcasts mostly. I did find out that the St. Mary's Chronicles has a new book. You guys haven't heard about the St. Mary's Chronicles? It is a awesome book series that has a lot of books already in it, and it's about time traveling historians. Like they're trying to catalog actual history instead of like what's in books or what the victor said or whatever. So they're going back in time to catalog that. They always mess something up or cause something to happen. You know, like invariably there is a kerfuffle involved. I would love to say that it's always lighthearted. It is not. Like bad things do happen in this, like serious consequences, but there are dinosaurs sometimes. So like there's that. Anyway, I got recommended this by Constance. I love the series. There's a new one. If you're into, that sounds appealing to you, it's a great book series. Just look up St. Mary's Chronicles. Okay, I hope everyone is doing really well. Have a great week. I will see you guys with another video soon. Bye guys.